It all began on a late autumn evening, the kind of evening where the wind carries more than just the chill of the coming winter. The sky was a fading gray, and the last leaves fell gently onto the ground outside the small inn that stood at the edge of a quiet town. Emily Carter, the young innkeeper who had inherited the place from her grandmother, stood by the window of the front desk, staring out at the empty road. She never knew who would walk in next, but that unpredictability had become part of her life story. The inn wasn't busy, not anymore. Once upon a time, travelers filled its rooms, the laughter of families and the footsteps of passing strangers weaving together like a tapestry. But now only a few visitors came and went. Emily, with her chestnut hair often tied in a loose braid and her soft hazel eyes, had grown used to solitude. Still, she always kept a warm smile ready for anyone who might arrive. That night, as the wind whistled through the trees, the door swung open with a gust. A tall man stepped in, his coat damp from the rain, his eyes searching the room with uncertainty. He looked like someone who had been on the road for too long. His name, as Emily would later learn, was Daniel Hayes. "Evening," Emily greeted, her voice gentle but steady. "Looking for a room?" Daniel nodded. "Just for the night. I won't be staying long." His tone was polite but carried a weight, as though he wanted to make it clear his visit was temporary. Emily showed him to a room upstairs, offering him the comfort of a warm fire and a hot meal if he wanted it. He thanked her quietly but seemed distant, lost in thoughts he wasn't ready to share. Emily didn't press. She had learned long ago that some people carried stories they weren't ready to tell. Over the next few hours, Emily went about her duties, tidying the inn, preparing tea, and glancing now and then toward the guest room where the stranger rested. She didn't expect him to linger, most didn't. But fate had its own way of weaving paths together. The following morning, Emily was surprised to see Daniel still there, sipping coffee in the small dining room. He looked less guarded, though still reserved. Something in his eyes caught her attention. He wasn't running from the world. He was running towards something he hadn't found yet. As the days went on, Daniel kept repeating that he wouldn't be staying. But each morning, he found himself unable to leave. There was something about the inn, the way the light filtered through the windows at dawn, the smell of fresh bread Emily baked, the kindness she showed even in silence, that anchored him in a way he hadn't felt in years. Emily noticed it too. Though he said he wasn't staying, his actions told another story. He began helping with small tasks, fixing a broken step, chopping wood for the fireplace, carrying in supplies from town. Each gesture surprised Emily, yet warmed her heart. It had been so long since anyone had stayed, not just in the inn, but truly stayed with her in spirit. The townspeople began to notice too. At first, they thought he was just another passerby, but soon they saw him at the market, greeting people, asking about local events. It was as if he had quietly become part of their lives, without even realizing it. One evening, while Emily prepared dinner, Daniel sat at the kitchen table, watching her work with a thoughtful expression. Finally, he spoke. "I told you I wasn't staying," he said, almost to himself. "But somehow, I don't want to leave." Emily paused, meeting his eyes. Her voice was soft. "Sometimes, where we're meant to be finds us, whether we planned it or not." And that was the beginning of something unexpected. Daniel stayed. Not because he had planned to, not because the road had ended, but because he had found something worth holding on to. The inn came alive again with his presence. Together, Emily and Daniel restored it, painting walls, repairing rooms, welcoming more travelers who once again filled its halls with laughter and stories. The inn was no longer just Emily's burden to carry alone. It became their shared dream. Daniel never said what he had been running from, and Emily never asked. All she knew was that he had found a reason to stop running. And though he once insisted he wasn't staying, he did. Not just in the inn, but in her life, in her heart, and in the small town that had quietly accepted him as one of their own. Sometimes, people arrive when you least expect them. Sometimes, they say they won't stay. But life has a way of proving otherwise. Daniel may have walked in as a stranger, but he stayed as part of a family. And Emily, once alone, finally discovered she was never meant to keep the inn, or her life in solitude. Together, they built something lasting. And so, the inn at the edge of town became more than just a resting place. It became a home,